Welcome back to another episode of College Town Talk. I'm Jonathan Frank.
And I'm Shan Stout.
Shan, I'm a big fan of today's episode of the podcast because it involves two of my favorite topics, animals and ice cream.
Well, Jonathan, I'm a fan of today's show as well, but that's because we're talking to the one and only Elizabeth Sophia. Now, if you don't know, Elizabeth is a director of development for Tennessee Tech's Division of University Advancement, but she's also a two-time Tech graduate, a 2024 Cookeville Lifestyle Movers and Shakers honoree, and yes, Jonathan, she just helped plan the dedication event for Poppy's Ice Cream Shop in Tennessee Tech's Roden University Center, and she is going to tell us all about her passion for animal rescue and advocacy.
Well, she also recently helped plan the dedication for the Michelle Huddleston Memorial Food Pantry, and some of our listeners may remember our episode of this podcast dedicated to Michelle in late 2023. We got to hear some beautiful tributes to Michelle's legacy from the people that knew her best. And as folks may recall, after Michelle passed away, the university set a goal of raising $25,000 to rename the food pantry after Michelle and ensure that her work to help food insecure students on our campus would never be forgotten. Well, last week, the university was able to formally dedicate the food pantry in Michelle's memory, and Elizabeth is going to take us behind the scenes of that special event.
Cannot wait to talk with her. So let's go ahead and kick things off with our first and only guest today, Elizabeth Sophia. Welcome back to College Town Talk. Our next guest is a two-time Tennessee Tech graduate serving as a director of development in Tech's Division of University Advancement. That is a mouthful. She's also a 2024 Cookeville Lifestyle Movers and Shakers honoree and one of the community's foremost animal advocates, which I love about her. This includes serving as president of our local Major Mike Shipley Spay and Neuter Clinic, as a board member for Caring About the Strays, or CATS Animal Rescue, and as a city appointee to the Cookeville Animal Control Board. And I'm proud to say that both of my cats came from Caring About the Strays, and so I appreciate what they do. And of course, we're talking about our favorite friend to all cats, dogs, and humans, Elizabeth Sophia. Elizabeth, welcome to College Town Talk.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And I love to hear that you bought both of your cats from Caring About the Strays. That is wonderful.
Oh, and I love them so much. That program is full of a lot of caring people, and you're one of those people. So, Elizabeth, we have so much we want to ask you today. And from one animal lover to another, I'm eager to talk about your volunteer work, but let's start with your role at Tennessee Tech. Now, Director of Development, you get to deal with one of those touchy subjects that we're not supposed to talk about, which is money. Cha-ching. But you've also helped connect countless donors to projects they care deeply about, and you help them see the impact of their giving right here on Tennessee Tech's campus. So this is a very important conversation. So tell me, what's a typical day like in the life of a director of development, and what do you find most rewarding about your role?
Well, I think as most people would agree, there is no typical day in university development. Every day is a little bit different, but it's so incredibly rewarding. When I started working at Tech, I worked in the provost's office, which was amazing. I learned so much, and the provost was an incredible mentor to me. But there were a lot of fires to put out and emergencies all day, every day. It was go, go, go. And being in this role as a director of development, I'm able to really sit down with alumni and hear their stories, hear their experiences about their time at Tech, hear what they're passionate about. We have alumni that have done some incredible things, led the most amazing lives. And I get to sit and talk to them all day long, which is amazing. And then I get to help them find what they're passionate about and how to connect them with things that are going on campus, which is just a beautiful thing to be able to experience, to see the students impacted by what they do, to see the facilities go up and all of the opportunities they provide. It's just an absolutely beautiful thing to experience.
Well, speaking of beautiful things to experience, we need to talk about the April 15th dedication ceremony for the Michelle Huddleston Memorial Food Pantry, because that was a truly beautiful ceremony that you helped plan and really spearheaded. I know that was a very personal project for you, raising funds in order to be able to rename the food pantry and then planning that event. Can you tell us a little bit about that special day?
The day itself was just incredible. I can't tell you what it meant to have her daughter come up and hug me after the event and tell me that we did her an honor. That was so incredibly special. When we lost Michelle, we lost such a bright light on this campus and in this community. She was always the person there to help, even when you didn't know you needed help. And she turned whatever chaos there was into order and turned it into something that, as someone mentioned at that ceremony, as something that you felt like you were getting paid for. You were volunteering, but she made you feel like you were the one benefiting from it. She was just incredible. So to have her name on that food pantry, which was her passion project since 2012, was just incredible. When I started working at Tech in January of 2014, she was one of the first people that I met. And we worked on the heating up the quad to fundraise for the food pantry. That was one of the first big projects that I worked on. And then, gosh, through all of the time that I worked with the different nonprofits, she would send students through the Service Learning Center with me. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful relationship. And I love to see all of the people that she impacted. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see what people had said about her, but there were just quotes upon quotes about how she had impacted them and how she was just an absolute light to everyone around her. So seeing all of that come to fruition from the original concept of making sure that her name remained on campus and that we continued her mission to seeing it actually come to fruition, and then to a point where now there's an auxiliary food pantry and it's growing, and there's an endowment where funds will be provided indefinitely for these students. So it was just incredible.
That is such a sweet story. I knew Michelle working through the Visitors Bureau. She helped manage a lot of the mass volunteers from our community, and everyone loved her. And just to know that you're preserving her legacy and honoring her, I know that does mean a lot to her family and friends. Now, you've been working on another pretty sweet project too. So you recently helped plan the dedication for Poppy's Ice Cream Shop, which is a happy place. And that's a new dessert spot in Tech's Roden University Center. We know it as the RUC, named after former Tennessee Tech trustee and local philanthropist Millard Oakley. Now, tell us, where did the Poppy name come from, and why was that event meaningful, particularly to you?
So Poppy is what Kendall, Millard's granddaughter, would call him. That was her nickname for him, Poppy, which was so sweet. We got to go through a lot of family photos in the process, and seeing her, the way that she looked at Poppy in those photos was just so special. And I had the privilege of being present for several of the interviews that we did for the video, and hearing the stories, the incredible stories about him and what he's done. I was honored enough to meet him 2 or 3 times in my capacity at Tech, and they were both incredibly memorable. But hearing those stories, I wish that I had been able to know him better. He was a fascinating person. Anything he decided to do, he went all in. And it was so neat to hear the people talk about her or talk about him and see Kendall in him, knowing all the stuff that she's doing. And how proud he would be of her. And it was just, I guess, the Poppies, the reason it came about is he would always share an ice cream cone. Just about every day, he would go and get an ice cream cone with someone, whether it was Kendall after school or Tammy in his office, that they would go, 2 o'clock or so and go get an ice cream cone. But he always found that as a way to sit down and connect and slow down. And it was just very fitting that it was named after him.
And you can never be in a bad mood while you're eating an ice cream cone. That's its own personal therapy. I think he was onto something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the event itself, it was my first opportunity to work with Ray Lagore, who's our event specialist in advancement. And that was just incredible. She did such a wonderful job of sitting down with Kendall and I and helping that vision come to life. It was wonderful.
Well, and you and Rayla did an excellent job with that event as well. Had a chance to go to it, and just all of the community leaders who were there on video were in the room. Dr. Steve Copeland, Wayne Cravens, Teresa Dunn, the provost, President Oldham, all of these people giving tributes. Victor Klein from Campus Dining, and you really got a sense at that event, for people who didn't have a chance to know him personally, as I did not have an opportunity to, really just what a legacy he leaves and what an impact he had on campus. We mentioned in the introduction you have a heart for animals, and you've put action behind that through your involvement with local rescues and nonprofits, as well as helping to relaunch our local spay and neuter clinic after its untimely closure. And this is something I really admire you for, Elizabeth. My dog is a rescue. But before I had a rescue dog as well. It's something close to my heart too. So where did this love of animals come from? And when you look back on all you've done for our four-legged friends, what are you most proud of?
I don't know that I could tell you where it started. As far back as I can remember, from a rescued squirrel when I was 4 to the puppy that I had, for 17 years growing up. I always had an affinity for animals. There's just something about that pure unconditional love that just is so special to me, and I believe they deserve a voice, and so it's always been my mission to try to give one to them. As far as what I'm most proud of, I'll start with the spay neuter clinic, and then overall, we reopened just 2 years ago, and we've already done over 9,000 surgeries. So the number of families and animals in this area impacted is incredible. And then in addition to that, just the community that we've built out there. We have got the best team of people that are in it for their love of animals. And yeah, when we do the volunteer events on the weekend and we do vaccine clinics, just seeing people will cry because this is something they were not able to afford to do before. So it's just been incredibly nice. But I think what I'm most proud of is in the last several years working with the spay neuter clinic and the rescues, the animal control board, the shelter, the Friends of Cookeville Putnam County Animals. I have been able to really understand more about how it works as a whole in the entire region. And we've made tons of inroads to work together and collaborate. And we're working on so many things that will to me enhance what we can offer them in the community and even regionally. And I'm really hopeful that it becomes a model for other areas of how when people work together, how powerful it can be.
Well, I've experienced the importance of what your work has done. And like I said previously, two of my cats were caring about the strays. And I loved how when there's any sort of history based on your pet that you're looking to adopt, you can learn about what that animal has been through. And one of my cats were born the night the tornado came through Putnam County. And so that was part of the origin story of this kitten. And I was like, oh, bless its little heart. I mean, I just fell in love immediately. And I just wanted to adopt them all. They were so precious. But I just was enamored. That was my first experience of the two. And I was enamored how well they had been taken care of. And these animals, just the heart for making them have a better life than they would have had. I mean, we don't even know if the kittens from that litter would have survived in all the trauma, but they were found by the volunteers that were doing the cleanup, and so it broke my heart. And but I really at that point became a big advocate for the organization because I realized what a great and important job they were doing, for the animals across our region. And it just meant a lot. Now, based on conversations that we've had today already, I want to let our listeners know it shouldn't be a surprise to any of us that in 2024, Cookeville Lifestyle Magazine named you to their annual Movers and Shakers list, and they're calling you, and I'm quoting here, a shining example of the best Cookeville has to offer. Now, I know you don't do this work for the recognition, but what did that particular opportunity and acknowledgement mean to you?
It's hard not to tear up just hearing that. I'm not used to the spotlight. I'm actually not very comfortable in the spotlight. I've always been more of a behind the scenes person, and it's one of the reasons I appreciate animals so much. Is I can talk to them and they don't judge. But it was so incredibly. It was such an incredible honor. I can't even begin to explain how special that was. And they made me feel so special the entire time. I know you both have had an opportunity to meet Chelsea and Andrew Buckner, and they are just amazing. They put their heart and soul into their work and into the community as well. And it was just, I don't know, it meant more than I could ever say. I would have never imagined someone saying those things about me. So it felt so special.
It was so well deserved, and you talk about being a behind the scenes kind of person. I think those are the people that tend to be the most deserving of recognition and the most fun to recognize and to give honor to. But finally, Elizabeth, we like to end each interview on this podcast with the same question, and that is, what is one way that Tennessee Tech has impacted your life?
There's several ways. Tennessee Tech is what brought me to Cookeville 20 something years ago. And I wanted to go to school here and was not able to afford it initially, which is why fundraising for scholarships is so important to me, because I understand the need for those. And so I worked for quite a while and got my undergraduate degree online. But I never gave up on coming to Tech. So I was eventually able to get a job at Tech so that I could get my master's degree and work for it. And then my passion for higher education and for Tennessee Tech just continued to grow. So I got my master's degree, my EDS, and I defend my dissertation in June. So I teach as an adjunct professor. I've been faculty, staff, student, and everything in between here. It has shaped who I am as a person. I don't think that I wouldn't have had the ability to do any of the things that we've talked about if it wasn't for Tennessee Tech. It's been such an incredible blessing to me. And I'm so grateful that I moved here. Even if I wasn't able to go to school initially, I moved here and I was able to experience everything that Cookeville and Tennessee Tech had to offer. It's truly made me who I am.
Well, I love that story, and I look forward to later this summer when we're calling you Dr. Sophia. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being our guest today on College Town Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
We want to thank Elizabeth Sophia for being our guest today on College Town Talk.
We sure do. And hey, if you are thinking after listening to today's podcast that maybe you'd like to make a gift to the university, whether it's in memory of someone special or to honor a campus department or office that was meaningful to you, or maybe to continue the work of the Michelle Huddleston Memorial Food Pantry, you can learn more and make a contribution today at tntech.edu/giving.
And while you're in a giving mood, would you do us a favor and give us a 5-star review? Hit that subscribe button and share this podcast with your friends. It all helps to spread the word about the great things happening right here in Cookeville.
We'll meet you back here again next time for more conversations with the people who make Cookeville Tennessee's college town. College Town Talk is presented by Tennessee Tech University in partnership with the Cookeville-Putnam County Visitors Bureau. Your hosts are Jonathan Frank and Shan Stout, and original music is performed by Andrew Buckner. Visit us online at tntech.edu/collegetowntalk.